मुफ्त की कोई चीज़ बाज़ार में नहीं मिलती, किसानों की मरने की सुर्खियाँ अखबार में नहीं मिलती. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan was the slogan of the second Prime Minister of India, Lal Bahadur Shastri, in 1965, given at a public gathering at Ramlila Maidan, Delhi. The progress of the nation is not possible unless and until the economic condition of the farmer will improve. Hello everybody, this is Vandana Yadav. I'm working as a legal intern with Lexis & Company, and today we are going to talk about the 2020-21 Indian farmers' protest against 3 Farm Acts. These 3 Farm Acts were passed by the Government of India, by the Parliament of India in September 2020. Farmer unions and their representatives have demanded that the laws should be repealed, and they have stated that they will not accept a compromise. The acts, often called the farm bills, have been described as anti-farmer laws by many farmer unions. And the politicians from the opposition say that the farmers have been left at the mercy of the corporates. Let us know today what are these 3 farm bills, why are the farmers still protesting, why is the protest still ongoing, and why have the farmers demanded the creation of a minimum support price bill. So the first act is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. Let us read the main provisions. The first is that the new legislation will create an ecosystem where the farmer and the traders will enjoy the freedom of choice of sale and purchase of the agri-produce. It will also promote barrier-free interstate and intrastate trade and commerce outside the physical premises of the markets notified under the state APMC. So interstate is that if somebody is coming from UP, they can sell it in another state, for example, Bihar. And intrastate means that if a farmer is coming from Sonipat, Haryana, but wants to sell the produce in Kurukshetra APMC and not want to sell it in the Sonipat APMC, so he can do that. The third provision of the Act says the farmer will not be charged any cess or levy for sale of the produce and will not have to bear the transport cost. But how? There is still a confusion on what basis is this provision said. The bill also proposes an electronic trading and transaction platform for ensuring a seamless trade electronically. Now this is not something very new, because we already have something called ENAM, that is the National Agricultural Market, where the APMCs are being connected and the prices are being displayed electronically, where the farmer can simply sell the produce either to the person present in the market or to the person online. Moving on to the fifth provision, in addition to mandis, freedom to do trading at farm gate, cold storage, warehouse, processing with units, etc., which means connecting with other people, leading to a freedom of choice and a freedom of trade. The sixth provision of this act says farmers will be able to engage in direct marketing, thereby eliminating the intermediaries, or what we call as middlemen, resulting in the full realization of price. Now a lot of people are coming up with the point that once these laws are enforced, the APMCs, that is the Agricultural Produce Market, will be totally redundant. The MSP, that is the minimum support price, will be completely stopped. And to this, the government replies that procurement at MSP will continue. That is, if the farmers want to sell at APMCs, they can, and if they want to sell their produce outside APMCs, they can do that also. Then the government says that the mandis will not stop functioning, but these will be additional markets. The farmers are not bound that they have to sell their produce at the APMC markets only. So basically, there are more choices for the farmers, as the government believes. Let us come to the second act, the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020. This act is related basically to contract farming. That is, a businessman goes to the farmers and asks to produce something which he wants, which they need for their company at a particular price, and this will be the assured price. The government says that the price assurance to the farmers will be given even before the sowing of the crops. In case of higher market price, farmers will be entitled to this price over and above the minimum price. What a rosy picture, isn't it? They say it will transfer the risk of the market unpredictability from the farmer to the sponsor, and due to prior price determination, farmers will be shielded from the rise and the fall of the market price. It will also enable the farmer to access modern technology, better seeds, and other inputs. Moreover, it will reduce the cost of marketing and improve the income of the farmers, which is obvious because if there is a contract made, they don't have to go to the markets. The government says that in the contract farming, both the farmers and the company will be at equal pedestal. The farmer will have full power in the contract to fix the sale price of his choice for the produce. But in reality, is this possible? The Indian farmers are not educated enough. So is it a possibility? Think about it. 10,000 farmer produce organizations, FPOs, are being formed throughout the country. These FPOs will bring together small farmers and work to ensure the remunerative pricing for the farm produce. That is, these FPOs will tell the farmers about their rights. After signing the contract, the farmer will not have to seek out the traders. And in case of a dispute, there will be no need to go to the court repeatedly because there will be a local dispute redressal mechanism. So the second bill is mainly talking about pricing, contract, and the farmer's income, while the first bill talks about the freedom of choice. Let us come to the third bill, which is the Essential Commodities Act 2020. This is basically an amendment act, the Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020. The first provision says there is a provision to remove commodities like cereals, pulses, oil seeds, edible oils, onion, and potatoes from the list of essential commodities, because the government tends to believe that once these commodities are out of the essential category, the prices will go down and it will benefit the consumers. The Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020 aims to remove the fears of private investors of excessive regulatory interference in their business operations. The freedom to produce, hold, move, distribute, and supply will lead to the harnessing of the economies of scale and attract the private sector. What are economies of scale? Economies of scale means that when the size of the business increases, the cost of the operation will go down. It will help drive up investment in cold storages and modernization of food supply chain. Now here the government tends to believe that 35 to 40% of the fruits and vegetables produced in our country is wasted due to the lack of cold storage facility, and the cost for farmers of this waste is around 35 crores. The government has also ensured that the interests of the consumers are safeguarded. In extraordinary situations like war and famine, such agricultural foodstuff can be regulated. However, there is an exception. The exception says that, however, the installed capacity of a value chain participant and the export demand of an exporter will remain exempted from such stock limit imposition. These three bills, which are now acts and popularly called the farm bills, will actually help the farmers or not. Now we will discuss this. So friends, things like contract farming is not new because we have often been talking about it. They have been given by the Government of India earlier. For example, the APLM Act 2017, the Agricultural Produce and Livestock Marketing. We have often spoken about the doubling of the farmer's income by 2022. There was a 7-point strategy given by the government in 2015-16. Significant change in the fixation of MSP. Way back in 2006, there was a recommendation given by the Swaminathan Committee. Now, what does the APLM Act say? The first provision of this act is, it could be a major agri-reform as it provides wider options for farmers to sell their produce and get better prices. Now, isn't this provision same as Bill number 1? The second provision says the purpose is to create a single agri-market where with single license one can trade agri-produce as well as livestock. This is the same provision as we have spoken about in the Bill number 1. The government's aim is to set up a wholesale market at every 80 kilometers. Do we have the markets now? I think you have the answer already with you. The new law will end the monopoly of APMC. So friends, please remember that there is nothing new in this Farm Bills 2020. We have already spoken about these things earlier. The first law given to us is not anything new. Let us, going back to 2003, the Model APMC law. This was given by the Government of India, and this Model APMC law also spoke about contract farming. That is Bill number 2 of 2020, and the reforms in the agricultural sector. More than 15 states adopted this Model APMC law, but in reality, have the farmers benefited from this? Still remains a question unanswered. Also in 2015, we had a Shanta Kumar committee. Shanta Kumar committee looked into the food procurement system and reported in 2015 that on average, just about 14% of wheat and paddy farmers were able to sell their produce to government procurement agencies. The same report also says that even those who sold to the government got the declared MSP for only 27 to 35% of their produce. Shanta Kumar's report also suggests that it is only the rich farmers which are able to access the government mandis and get paid the MSP. Because the poor farmers don't even know what is the MSP, that is a minimum support price. About 60 to 70% of the farmers have no idea about what is the minimum support price. The farmers of Punjab and Haryana said that though the MSP for produce was 1,820 rupees, but they were able to get only 1,000 rupees approximately. The point to be noted here is that it is only the rich farmers which are going to benefit. And 86 of the farmers of our country are small and marginal farmers. Remaining 14% are either medium or semi-medium. In fact, 75% of the paddy growers and over 65% of the wheat growers didn't even know that the government procures any food grain, which means that they are left at the mercy of the intermediaries or the middlemen. When the farmers are not even aware of MSP, how will they be able to get the right price? How will they be able to get the benefit? The point is that all the governments, leave alone this government, are using this agricultural sector as a matter of politics. Whenever the elections are coming, the government is going for loan waivers. Whenever the elections are coming, the government is going for reforms. But where is the practical implementation? Indian Express News says that farmers suicide highest in Maharashtra in spite of the loan waivers. Every hour one farmer is committing suicide in our country. So it doesn't matter what laws are being made for the farmers and what provisions are being brought in. What matters is that will they be practically implemented, and when will they be practically implemented? In 2017 and 18, when the elections were about to be held in Maharashtra, the National Crime Record Bureau report shows that the number of farmer suicide remained higher than 3,500 in 2015, 14, 16 and 19. NCRB has not recorded the number for 2017 and 18, and there are no reasons given for not doing so. Well, it is obvious that elections were coming, so there was no data recorded. The point still remains that unless and until the farmers are provided with education about their rights, any law or reform is not going to help them. It is only going to help the big businessmen with a lot of wealth already. So are these farm bills a rosy picture, a myth, or a reality? I leave it upon you to decide. Thank you.